on, let's also talk about the other trigger that is being closely watched, and that's not only one, but two. One is US election results, and the other is Fed's rate decision. They're both slated for this week, and it's also important to note that these two triggers are intertwined. Neeraj is joining us to tell us how is that exactly. Neeraj.
Well, some Gavaikal researchers put out a note and in which they are analyzing what the impact of the Fed election, or rather the US election outcome would be on the Fed electing what to do, let me put it that way. So they have painted two scenarios, obviously. The first one is a Kamala Harris win, and they say that out here the Fed could choose to sit on its hands. This is verbatim, of course, but effectively what they mean is that after the first rate cut, the Fed can choose not to do anything because Democrats won't bash the Fed for exercising its autonomy. In fact, Democrats have gone out and said that a Trump presidency would threaten the central bank's independence. So it's very easy to assume that Democrats won't go out and tell the Fed that, hey, the Fed is doing something wrong, because they are on the plank that they want the Fed to remain autonomous. In fact, they said that the Fed may signal that further rate cuts may be data dependent. The scenario, according to them, is bullish for the US dollar and possibly for treasuries as well as growth stocks. Now, this is scenario one. Scenario two is in the case of Donald Trump getting elected. They say that the Fed will deliver the expected November cut, possibly following up with a cut in December as well. Now, there is a bit of a converse logic out here to this, because Gavaikal says that if the Fed doesn't do this, then it'll open up the Fed to accusations of political meddling. And this is something that the Fed has fought very hard to dispel the notion of. So even if it is not warranted, pressures may compel the Fed to go out and do a further rate cut in the month of December. Now remember, this is now looking slightly iffy simply because the data in the US is not suggesting that there will be a series of rate cuts, something that was believed to be the case about 3 months ago. Also, there will be uncertainty if there's a Donald Trump victory on whether Jerome Powell will choose to stay on. Remember, the relationship between the two was very icy in the first innings, so don't quite know if that will stay the case or no. And this might happen almost immediately as per Gavaikal as well. They don't rule out that possibility. Remember, so this is one of the views given by one of the houses, one of the research houses, but many more views exist, and it'll be really interesting to see how that will shape up, because this is happening, all of this is happening in a matter of 3 further sessions. The elections starting tomorrow, the FOMC decision or the verdict coming in on the 7th night. So very action-packed the next 3 days.